Hi everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a brand new story to share with you. So let's begin. My name is Charles. The day I proposed to the woman I thought I would spend the rest of my life with remains the day I will never forget. Instead of a heartfelt yes, she looked me dead in the eyes while laughing and asked me, "You actually thought I'd say yes?" The crowd around us was waiting for that magical yes moment. But instead, she made me feel like the dumbest person alive and walked off. Now you might be thinking, that's where the story starts, right? That big, humiliating moment. But no, that was just the explosion. The fire had been burning slowly long before that. See, things didn't fall apart all of a sudden. Looking back, I can see how it all led up to that day. And yes, I'll say it before anyone else does. I was a simp. I did everything wrong. I excused red flags. I chased someone who was never really there for me. And I let myself believe that loving hard would somehow be enough. I suffered for it. And if there's anything to take from this story, it's that blind loyalty can sometimes be the most dangerous kind of love. Let me take you back to where it all began. The story started when I was a teenager, thinking I had found true love. I met Violet when we were both in our teens. I wouldn't say it was love at first sight, but whatever it was, it had me hooked. We started dating before we even thought about college applications. I was just happy to have her in my life. When it came time to apply for college, we hit our first real fork in the road. I had a couple of schools in mind, and I remember clearly that she had the option to apply to one of them. I talked to her about it. I hoped she'd consider it, but she didn't. She chose a different path, a school that was hours away in a completely different state. I didn't push her too hard about it. I told myself she had her reasons, and we could make it work. And so, we did what so many young couples try to do. We attempted the long-distance relationship. It wasn't easy. Anyone who's done long-distance knows that. We went from seeing each other every week to only catching up during holidays or when I managed to scrape together enough cash and time to visit her campus. I was the one making the trips. I was the one calling, texting, checking in, even during exam weeks. I thought that was just how love worked. You sacrifice, you push through, and in the end it pays off. Looking back now, I can see things more clearly. That relationship, it was never balanced. It was always me putting in the effort, always me trying to keep the connection alive while she drifted further away. At the time, I didn't see it. I thought I was being supportive. I was proud of how much I cared. I never realized I was caring alone. One of my close friends saw what I was going through. He told me straight up, "Charles, she's using your kindness against you." I brushed him off. I remember the exact conversation. He said I was too soft, that I was making it easy for her to give nothing and still keep me around. But I didn't want to hear that. I defended her. I made every excuse in the book on her behalf. It's almost embarrassing now how quick I was to protect her image, especially when she wasn't doing the same for me. But that's how it started. And if I had seen things clearly back then, maybe this story would have ended before it ever really began. But I didn't. After we graduated from college, Violet and I both returned to the same city where we grew up. We didn't live together, but we were back in close enough proximity that continuing the relationship felt like the natural next step. We both managed to get jobs in different workplaces. Now, being in the same city again should have been a good thing. It should have brought us closer, helped us reconnect, and rebuild everything we'd been trying to hold on to over the years. But the truth is, nothing really changed. Our relationship was still lopsided. I was always the one making the plans, reaching out first, trying to fix things whenever there was tension. And the worst part? I didn't even realize how unhealthy it was while I was in it. But then, one day, during what I'd call a regular disagreement, Violet looked at me and said, "I can't continue with this relationship." But instead of letting that moment be the wake-up call it clearly was, I did what I'd always done. I begged her not to leave me. I sent her long messages, called her over and over, and apologized for things I didn't even fully understand just to get her to come back. I spent days trying to fix something that, looking back, should have just stayed broken. Eventually, she agreed to stay with me, but not because she loved me. She stayed out of pity. There was no warmth in her tone anymore, no excitement in her voice when she saw me. It was like I had to constantly earn her bare minimum attention. Now thinking back, I honestly regret being that kind of fool. A man so deep in denial that I couldn't even see the pity behind her smile. Even after all that, I kept trying to make her happy. Every time a holiday came around, her birthday, Valentine's, anniversaries, I spent my salary making sure she had the best of what I could afford. Dinners at places she liked, gifts she hinted at, surprise deliveries to her workplace. I wasn't rich by any means, but I didn't mind spending on her. She never went out of her way for me. Not once. Not on my birthday, not during tough days, not even a random gesture to show she cared. I gave and gave, and all I got in return was silence, distance, and this cold kind of tolerance. Somehow, I started planning a proposal. I had already convinced myself this was the right move. I wasn't just ready, I was excited. I'd saved up and bought the ring. It was a real diamond ring. I imagined her smiling, tearing up, maybe even jumping into my arms. I decided to reach out to Violet's best friend, thinking she'd help me plan something special. Maybe get Violet to the right place at the right time, keep things low-key, but memorable. I wanted it to be perfect. But when I called her and told her what I was planning, she went quiet for a few seconds and then just said, "Charles, how could you be so blind to how badly she's been treating you?" It was almost like she was exhausted from watching me keep running toward the fire while she stood there trying to wave me away from it. But did I listen? Of course not. I was already too far gone. Too committed to this fantasy I had in my head. I told her, "You're just jealous of her. That's why you're saying this. Just watch, I'm going to marry her." That conversation ended fast. She just said good luck and hung up. Looking back, that good luck hit different. Since no one wanted to help me, I decided to do it all myself. I picked a nice place. I told Violet we were going out to celebrate a small personal milestone of mine. She said okay. She dressed up, looked stunning, and smiled through dinner. We finished our meal and walked outside to this open garden space attached to the venue. I took a deep breath and dropped to one knee. The crowd around us noticed. Some people started clapping. Others pulled out their phones. I opened the ring box and asked her, "Will you marry me?" The whole place went quiet for a second, waiting for her answer. And then she laughed and said it. "You actually thought I'd say yes?" She pulled her hand away, turned, and just walked off, leaving me still kneeling, with the ring box open and the crowd dead silent. A few people tried to stop clapping. Others just slowly lowered their phones. I was still on one knee, watching the woman I'd spent years loving walk away. That's when it occurred to me that she never loved me. She only tolerated me, and I was too dumb to see it, even when people around me tried to warn me. Eventually, I stood up, pocketed the ring, and left. The worst part was that someone who filmed the whole thing posted it on social media that same night. By morning, it was everywhere. Strangers commenting things like, "How did he not see that coming?" or "Poor guy." Some people from my past reached out. Violet's best friend messaged me, too. Not to gloat, but just to say, "I told you. I tried to save you." Then she dropped the bombshell. Violet had been dating someone else. Secretly. For months, maybe even longer. The only reason she stayed with me was that I made life easier for her. She didn't love me. She loved the convenience, the gifts, the effort, the fact that I made her life smoother. I felt used, cheap. But more than anything, I felt stupid. I had no one to blame but myself. I chose to ignore the signs. I let love blind me. I asked for leave from work. Thankfully, they granted it because I needed the time. I needed to breathe. But every day felt like I was dragging myself through glass. I described it once to a friend like this. It felt like someone stabbed me with a broken bottle, and then twisted it slowly every time I remembered what happened. Some of my friends noticed how broken I'd become. So they did something I'll never forget. They stepped in. They came over, dragged me out of the house for drinks, movies, even just random drives. One of them made me start jogging with him every morning. Not because I loved running, but because he knew I needed something to keep me from slipping into a darker place. Those guys were my lifeline. If they hadn't stepped in when they did, I don't know if I'd be here sharing this story. I was entertaining some unspeakable thoughts. But their efforts saved me. And that's the thing, when you're in a storm, you don't always need someone to fix the sky. Sometimes you just need someone to hold the umbrella with you. It was during the last week of my leave from work, and my friends refused to let me drown alone. One day, without asking, they just showed up at my place. Bags packed, snacks in hand, speaker blasting old road trip tunes. "We're going," they said. Just like that. At first, I resisted. I told them I wasn't in the mood, that I was tired, that I had things to do, even though we all knew I had nothing but time and pain on my hands. But one of them looked me dead in the eye and said, "Bro, we're not asking. You need this." And they were right. Deep down, I knew I couldn't keep sitting there. So I got in the car. And I'm glad I did. I don't even know how far we drove. We hit a few small towns, stopped at odd-looking restaurants with the best greasy fries you'll ever taste, sang off-key to throwback songs, and laughed for the first time in weeks. I even caught myself saying, "I needed this," out loud. And I meant it. Along the way, I started taking pictures. I posted some of them on my Instagram. At first, I hesitated. Part of me worried someone would bring up that video. And yeah, a few comments did, but most of the responses were kind. Some even said they were rooting for me. I chose to hold on to those. When the trip ended and I came back home, things didn't magically become perfect. But something had changed. I went back to work, and instead of just going through the motions, I made a decision. I was going to pour everything into myself. I started buying myself the things I wanted without asking if it was too much. I took myself out to new places, nice restaurants, quiet parks, and art exhibits. I started doing stuff I used to think you had to do with someone to enjoy. Turned out, I liked my own company more than I thought. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was slowly learning to enjoy being alive again. And for the first time in a long time, that was enough. 3 months had passed. It's strange how quickly time moves when you stop begging for someone to love you. After everything, I had finally started to feel stable. My days were full. I had my routine. I focused on work and myself. And honestly, I was healing slowly and steadily. And for once, I felt like I was enough for myself. Then one random afternoon at work, during break, I turned on my phone's mobile data. I wasn't expecting anything. But on that day, there were multiple unread messages from a number I knew all too well. Violet. The first message was short. Just, "Hey, how are you?" I didn't respond. What could I even say? I stared at it for a few seconds, locked my phone, and went on with my work. But she didn't stop there. Not long after, more messages came in. "I was dumb for not seeing how much you loved me. I regret not taking you seriously. I didn't know what I had until I lost it." When I picked up my phone hours later and saw these, I still didn't reply. Her last message hit different, though. "Even if you don't forgive me, can we at least see each other? Just talk." That was the moment I knew for sure I was done. I opened the chat, scrolled down, held down her number, and blocked it. You'd think that would be the end of it, right? That blocking her would be the final chapter, and we could both just move on. Yeah, I thought so too. But somehow, Violet didn't get the memo. A few days later, I saw her. In person. She tried to call my name, but I walked past her like she didn't exist. A couple of weeks after that, I finally found out why she suddenly wanted to come back. Turns out, the guy she left me for bailed. He saw the viral video. He didn't even know she had a boyfriend back then. She kept that part hidden. But once he saw the way she left me kneeling there, that was enough. He told her straight up, if she could do that to someone who loved her, she could do it to him too. She didn't come back because she missed me. She came back because she lost him. I was the safe bet. The familiar option when everything else went south. She never expected that video to go viral. Even after all that, she didn't stop trying. I started getting random messages again, this time from strange numbers. New accounts. I knew it was her. She kept trying to reel me back in. But here's the truth, I couldn't do it. Because I knew I couldn't trust anything she said. She had her chance. And she threw it away. Looking back now, I see things much clearer than I ever could when I was in the middle of it. When you're deeply in love with someone or what you think is love, it's easy to excuse things that should never be excused. But after everything that happened, I walked away with some hard lessons burned into my heart. And maybe if you're watching this, there's something in these lessons for you too. First of all, never beg to be loved. I did. But love doesn't work like that. Real love isn't something you have to beg for. If someone truly loves you, they don't leave you kneeling in front of a crowd, humiliated. And they definitely don't need to be convinced to be with you. Another thing I've learned, don't ignore the people who care about you. My own friends tried to talk to me. Her best friend, who had every reason to stay out of it, tried to warn me. But I brushed them off. I told myself they were jealous, bitter, or just didn't understand what we had. The truth is, they saw what I couldn't. They weren't trying to hurt me. They were trying to help me. And I shut them out to protect the illusion I had built in my head. Which brings me to this. Don't be blind out of hope. Hope is a powerful thing. It keeps you going. But sometimes, hope can turn into denial. I kept hoping she'd change. I kept hoping one day she'd wake up and love me the way I loved her. I mistook her convenience for commitment. I stayed because I hoped it would get better. It didn't. Lastly, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, never be more loyal than you are loved. I gave her everything. My time, my money, my heart. I stayed loyal through distance, silence, and emotional neglect. But loyalty without love becomes slavery. It makes you betray yourself. It makes you fight for someone who wouldn't even defend you in a room full of whispers. Don't let your loyalty to someone become disloyalty to yourself. So, if you're watching this and thinking that kind of stuff only happens to people who are weak, let me tell you something. I wasn't weak. I just loved the wrong person the right way. But now I know better. And if this story helps even one person avoid the pain I went through, then maybe there's something good that came out of it all. Let me leave you with a question. What would you have done in my place? Really, think about it. If you saw the signs, would you have walked away, or would you have stayed like I did, hoping they'd eventually see your worth? And if this story meant something to you, if you saw a bit of yourself in it, or you know someone who's going through something similar, like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear it. You never know who you might be helping. Thanks for listening.